when it comes to using the iontophoresis treatment for the underarms, can someone like shave their underarms or they wax and still use the machine the same day? Because I know the same case doesn't apply for topical treatments. If you shave, you can't apply. You need to give it like a day. Because of the,
right, yeah. It does depend on how sensitive the skin is, because if there's any breakage of skin, really the only thing is experiential, where you'd feel like a light stinging sensation if your skin was a little bit too raw after shaving. A couple of options. So let's say you did nick yourself shaving, right? You could just simply apply some Vaseline or petroleum jelly or even a bandage to that area so that it's creating a barrier during the treatment, and that should reduce any discomfort. But also, if you're a man, like, don't feel like you have to shave your underarms to do these treatments. It's definitely not a necessity to. The hair is not impeding the flow of the current or anything like that. I did already point out making sure that the electrode is fully inserted into the sponge pad sleeve. And also make sure that those sponge pads are significantly damp. I've found that some patients in the past, when they're setting up their device, and again, here's kind of a look at the breakdown, the electrodes, right, versus the sponge pad sleeve here. What they'll do is when they take this and wet it, what's your first natural inclination, right? To like squeeze it out, right? Or to make it less wet, to just give it one of those. But the wetter your sponge pad sleeve is, the more effective the treatment is going to be. Okay, so don't feel like if it's too wet or anything like that. And for some patients, they may even have to pause the treatment halfway through and re-wet these again and continue treatments that way. But even if, again, going to where we had discussed patients having, ineffective experiences with ionto in the past, older underarm attachments were a lot less effective. And the reason being goes to that metal electrode that we've discussed. Think metal is rigid, right? Your underarm is a curved surface. So when you introduce a rigid flat piece to a curved surface, it only really ends up making contact with 2 points of the skin, right? So what we did with the design of the new ones, because they're made of that silicon graphite material, they're flexible, okay? These get the sponge pad sleeves incredibly soft once they're wet. And so now those underarm attachments contour to that area to deliver a lot more consistent and effective treatment.